Hey y'all, come on in, come on in. It is time for another coach to coach interview tonight, y'all. Listen, tonight is going to be explosive. So make sure that you come in and invite your friends, y'all. Share, tag somebody because we are going to have a good time tonight. I don't know what God going to do, but I feel like he going to do something extra special because we have an extra special guest with us tonight. We have the one and only Mr. Brag on God himself, Mr. D. Davis, y'all. We're going to bring him in. And as we bring him in, I'm going to read his bio. So come on in the room, Mr. Davis. And so the elder D. Davis was born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana. At an early age, he professed a strong love for God and helping others. In 2016, you guys, he founded the international brand, y'all, Brag on God, y'all. And if people ask you what Brag on God means, tell them your testimony. All right. So Brag on God, it is an international brand and it has been displayed throughout the United States, Europe, Africa, and London. He is also, you guys, a best-selling author. He's a teacher. He's a speaker. He's an encourager. He's a motivator. He's an entrepreneur. He's an ordained elder. And some of y'all don't even know, he is also a HERS professional life coach and mentor, y'all. He's also one of his team members. He also sits on our board of directors, y'all. Okay. And he's also a mentor over in that fashion. And his best known quote is, "Look where God has brought me from." Y'all help me welcome none other than the incomparable Elder D. Davis. Come on in, sir.
Wow. What an introduction. Thank you. I'm delighted and so happy to be with you tonight on this live here from coach to coach. I'm excited about whatever God's going to say and do tonight.
Hey, we got our people coming in. Hello, everybody. Listen, y'all, when I tell y'all he is a hard person to catch up with, he's a hard person to catch up with. It's like trying to catch up with a celebrity around here, but we were finally able to pin him down to get this interview, and I know y'all are going to be blessed tonight. We're going to have fun, but we also are going to encourage y'all too. We're going to first just tell the people a little bit about what you got going on and a little bit about yourself, what I didn't put inside the bio. Let them know just a little bit more about you.
Absolutely. First, I want to thank you, Dr. K, for having me on tonight with the Coach to Coach. I know it's been a long time coming, but we're finally here. So look, Mama, we made it. So we're here. Currently, right now, we're doing a lot of work with our men, restoring and encouraging men back to believe in themselves, and not only believe in themselves, but believe in themselves with and through God. So that's the main focus that we are working with severely right now. And when that's all said and done, it helps them promote them or brag on God testimony that gives God back all the glory and puts them back in the forefront to feel good as a man. And no matter what aspect that has come from, and I'm sure we'll dive into that a little bit more tonight. But that is what I'm currently doing at the moment. Outside of that, we are working fastly upon trying to get some more product out. We're going to discuss that, I'm sure, sometime tonight. Some new things we got going on and stuff like that we're going to put out and just try to encourage the people. So we're here. We're ready to dive into it and get this thing going tonight. I'm excited. And again, I just want to thank you for having me on tonight.
Well, thank you for joining us. And as you said, we're going to dive right in this. And so a lot of people don't know and didn't know that you are indeed a certified professional life coach. And so what makes your life coaching and how you do it, what makes that different and unique than what other people and how other people do it?
What makes it unique is, again, I pretty much focus and put my energy into mainly men. Now, that can be young men, the boys, men, and men in general. But I put my focus into the men, helping restore the man back to wanting to be the man, but be the man that God called him to be, whether he is currently a man of God or whether he's coming from a different lifestyle, trying to enter into becoming a man of God. What I do is I encourage, strengthen, and help find ways to restore them into becoming who it is that they need to be in God. So what makes it different is that I look at it from an individual standpoint of each individual is different. And here's the hidden part, Dr. K, is that many men deal with so many different hidden veils of pain, secret hang-ups. We as men, we deal with different things as far as guilt that we never address, and we hide under, and many times that becomes our secret place that we go to, but it's also the most damaging spot that we find as well. And so I identify with the pain and go into the men and say it's okay for us to hurt as men and acknowledge it that we do hurt, because many times you don't hear men say, hey, I hurt too. For the most part, that's something that it seems as if that we have this falsified identification that if I'm a man, I cannot show that I hurt. I cannot complain and say something is wrong. And that's really just a false narrative. So that is what makes it different, is the angle in which God has designed me to go with it from my coaching aspect.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because that is huge and is also important for another man to say that, because so many men have been taught that it's weak to say that I need help. It's weak to say I'm hurting, and it's weak to be vulnerable, but it's not. It takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable, and it takes a lot of courage to say I need help. And I get it, and that, because that has what's been instilled in our men. But how do we break that cycle? What is it that we need to do, and what is it that other men need to tell other men in order for them to break that cycle?
One of the biggest things is really three words, but we can make it into two, and that would be it's okay. Because we have built, like you said, that men have to be strong all the time, and that now let me make sure we say this correctly, because that don't mean that men are supposed to be weak.
Right.
Yeah, every man should have some type of pride to him about something. You shouldn't always have your hand out. You shouldn't always be saying, well, okay, and sloop down in your seat. But it's okay for you not to always have to be macho man. You don't have to be, the strongest disciple, and you don't have to always be the one that just puffed up in your chest at all times. Because in those moments, what I found out, to K, is that it's okay to be strong, but the problem with always being strong is no one knows how to deal with you when you're not. And so then you're doing self-harm to yourself because you always have to be strong. So the aspect I think that will help with men is for men to tell other men, it's okay for you not to always be strong. It's okay for you sometimes for you to need help. It's okay sometimes for you to say, you know what, today I'm just not feeling it. And they don't take away from your manhood, because what we feel as though is if I say I'm not feeling it, or I say that today is not my day, that I'm doing my best, it makes it sound like I'm weak. And it doesn't mean you're weak. It actually identifies that you're strong. You're strong enough to say that today I'm just not feeling it. Today is not my strongest day. And I think that's where we need to, lie it and pull into the driveway there and just identify with that. And that would help the man be say, you know what? Okay, all right, okay, all right. Because I had to do that. I needed to be able to be told it's okay, D. Davis, for you not to always feel like you got to pick up every single building, carry them on your shoulders, and walk through the city of Indianapolis every single day. Because that's how I felt for so many years of my life, that I just had to do that, had to do it. And all it did was weaken me while I thought I was being strong.
And I think it even goes even further. And I think because look, when grown men were little boys, they were told, don't you cry, and if you do, don't let anybody see you cry. And then one thing that I didn't do with my son, I never called my son the man of the house. That's one thing I didn't do because it makes them feel like they are responsible for an
Right.
entire household. And then they grow up feeling like they're responsible for an entire household before time, before they need to
Right.
be. And then it makes them feel like if they make a mistake, that it's detrimental and they're not allowed to make a mistake. And then I also like to adhere to the women out there is and if you are in relationships, let that man be vulnerable sometimes. Don't always be looking at him and and putting more on them than they really can shoulder. Sometimes we have to back up and say, okay, let me give them some space, because they already take on, the cares of the world. Sometimes they really, really do. And we don't know everything that men do carry. And so sometimes we have to back up. But that is one thing I never did to my son, is I never called my son the man of the house, because he's not. He was my son. He was not my man,
Right.
and he wasn't the man of the house. I made sure he
Right.
stayed in that place, and I made sure that he understood that it's okay. Number one, if you hurt, it's okay to hurt. And number two, if you feel vulnerable, it's okay for you to show your feelings. You ain't got to mask your feelings. I want to know how you feel. And it's okay for you to acknowledge your feelings. And I think sometimes that's where they get it from. And because men have been called, oh man, and y'all know we from the old school, oh, you a sissy if you do that. And so we've traumatized our young
Right.
men, and and it really does cause that type of trauma, and it carries over into adulthood.
That is very true.
So, keeping in with that, what are some of the services that you offer or are going to offer? Because I know you already offer mentorship. I know you already
Right.
offer that. But what are some of the other services you offer or you are going to offer in the future?
Well, one of them right now that I offer, like you said, the mentorship. One person I'm mentoring right now, this young man, he has autism, and anyone that knows about dealing with autism, oh my God, you know, he's 30, maybe 32 years old, but the mindset is that of
Yeah.
a maybe, okay, and it takes a lot, but it's the patience that God gives me to be able to deal with that. And through it, I have seen a rise even in him, and his development stages have been phenomenal. Other services that I offer is one on one encouragement. All right. Let me break that down real quick, Dr. K. There was a young man that started a job with me. Okay. And um, I seen him. I seen that he had tattoos on his head, on his face, arms, neck. I mean, brother was tatted, you know. And so we're talking and things. And he said, "Man, this is my first job I ever had in my life. I ain't never ever had a job before. I'm a street dude. You know, I just got out the pen. I'm trying to do better. This is the first job I've ever had." He said, "I got two little babies. When I got out, he was like, and I was lucky to get out." And I'm listening to him. After that, I began to encourage him. You can do this. So I started doing a one-on-one encouragement session with him at work for 5 minutes for the first 3 days, right there at work. I want to do encouragement with you. Finally, he comes out and he keeps on hearing me say, brag on God every time. So he says, "Man, what does that mean?" Now I get a chance to tell him my testimony. I share transparency with him that I too have been through some things. Don't have a DOC number, don't got tattoos on my face, but I've been through some stuff. And so I shared that with him in brief detail, encouraged him through my testimony. You see how that's working? Encouraged him through my testimony. Then afterwards, kept talking to him and he said, "Man, just go ahead and tell me what church you go to."
Oh, wow.
Now I told him. Then he wants to say, "Hey, I don't know if I can get out on work release. I mean, released by my PO to come. Hey, man, I can write you a letter, no problem." Boom, done it. They approved it. He comes to church. He comes to church 2 weeks later. Well, before he comes to church, Dr. K, this is what he says to me in our 5 minute encouragement time that we do every morning. He said, "If I come to your church, are they going to look at me funny?" Now, this is going to help some men and women right here. He said, "If I come to your church, are they going to look at me funny?" I didn't lie to him. And we have to stop lying to people when they come to church or when they ask questions. We got to stop lying to folks, okay? So he asked me, are they going to look at me funny? You know what I told him, Dr. K? Yes, they're going to look at you funny, bruh. You got tattoos on your face. You got tattoos on your neck and on your head. So yes, they're going to look at you funny. But they also look at you funny when you go to the grocery store. They look at you funny when you buy Jordans. They look at you funny when you walk inside any other restaurant, anything else. Does it stop you? No. Then it's not going to stop you from coming to church. He said, man, that's the most realest thing I ever heard. He comes to church. 2 weeks later, he gets baptized. Boom. Now he's on his way to living a new life. So the service that I offer is that one-on-one encouragement time. I try not to do too many big group settings at the moment because I feel as though that the one-on-one with men is so much more important that they can feel like I can get direct answers and I can ask you openly whatever I want to ask without having to worry about the person on the left or the right. So that is what we're currently focusing on is that one-on-one encouragement to uplift our brothers to be able to be a blessing to them for life-changing purposes. Brag on God.
Yeah, sometimes
Had,
that's what
had
it
to plug that.
takes. I heard the shameless plug, but sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes you really do have to get in there and do the one on one so they can feel comfortable. Um, and then with some other people, sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes people like being in groups, but we have to also be willing to get people in that intimate setting so that they can feel comfortable and not feel like they're being stared at and being looked at. Because like you said, people are going to look, people are going to stare, and you can't just say, oh no, come on, nobody's going to look at you funny, nobody's not. Yes, they are. You come in and
Yes,
you
they
got
are.
tattoos on your face and your neck. I'm not even going to sit here and lie. I'm looking. I'm just gonna
Me
be
too.
honest. I'm looking, okay,
I'm looking
and
too.
so I know if I'm looking, everybody else is looking too. But we have to start getting real with people, and so that we can better prepare them. We really do. We have to
Right.
start getting real with people, and we have to stop all of the lying and and it doesn't make them. It may make them comfortable in the moment, but it doesn't prepare them for reality.
Right.
And so we have to make sure that we prepare people for reality. We have to be realistic with people because we want them to walk into realistic situations. Because, yeah, telling somebody if you got tattoos all on your face, ain't nobody going to be looking, that's a lie because they looking.
That's a lie.
It's,
Yeah,
it's a
I'm looking.
lie. They're looking. Um, and inside of what you do, what excites you the most about what you do?
What excites me the most is being able to know that I'm helping someone become what they need to be. I like being able to be transparent and share my testimony to let them know that just because you see me in this suit or you see me with this shirt on, or you may see this look, that a brother's been through some things as well. That this man here is a testimony walking. I'm a living, running runway model for what grace looks like, you know. And I love the fact the most that I get a chance to talk to people and see the works of what I'm doing being effective in their lives. So that excites me the most. And it's not always sunshine. Of course, you're the master life coach of all. It's not always sunshine. You got some headaches and some moments where you're like, oh my God. But the moments like that don't override when you see that one time that someone turned the corner, like that brother I was speaking about, to see him come to church, get baptized, and then bring his whole family to church. And he's there every single week on time, faithful. That's encouragement to me. That makes me continue to say, okay, where's the next one? Who's next? Who can I affect next? So that's what encourages me the most.
Yeah. Because with me it's always it's the smiles, and it's the oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. After people feel like they've been told so long they can't do something, or they tell themselves they can't do something, or they haven't done something for so long because they've never been giving that opportunity, and they've never been giving the surrounding to do it, or the tools to do it.
True,
And that's what I
true,
tell people as life coaches. It's not my job to figure out your life. It's my job to give you the tips, tools, and techniques in order for you to figure out your life. I'm just here to hold you accountable and to show you how to use the tools. But it's not for me to figure it out. It's for you to come up with the solution. But I'm there to walk alongside you in case you fall down. But it's not for me to figure out. And so that's what life coaching is about. And some people get it misconstrued, and they try to blend it with counseling, and that's how people get upset. And it's not. It's like, listen, I can't take care of what went on in the past. I can't fix that.
Right.
That's not my lane. I can refer you to somebody, but I can't fix that. But what I can do is I can take where you are now, and I can help you go forward, and I can give you the tools to do that and the strategies to do that. And we can come up with this blueprint and this map of how you can do that. And so I think it's an awesome thing that you're doing, especially when you're dealing with someone who has autism. Man, I was a special needs teacher for 10 years. So I understand. And I had mod to severe. So, I was ducking and dodging, getting hit in the face with chairs and stuff. So I understand that. But but to see someone do that, and on top of that, being able to lead people to Christ from doing that one-on-one, that takes dedication and consistency. Because when you're dealing with someone with autism, they do not like their schedules to be off. You have to be consistent. And that's what we also teach in life coaching is consistency. And my coaches will tell you, that's what I say all the time. Consistency is key. So you have to be consistent. And so and working with someone with autism will keep you consistent, because
yes, it will.
Do not upset their schedule. Don't do it. And I always ask all of my guests this question. Ever since the pandemic, have you seen an increase or have you seen a decrease in your business and in your ministry? Have you seen an increase or a decrease?
I've seen an increase. Brag on God. I've seen an increase, and I think primarily because people had nothing to do. Uh, so when people had nothing to do, and because I am not so much in a big group setting with the coaching aspect of things, and I deal with more on the one-on-one, and I try to deal with it until I feel like God has released me from that individual and then go on to the next. I've seen an increase because people had nothing to do. And since they wasn't distracted by so many different things and places to go, it allowed me to work with the one, and maybe even had it, because the brother that has the autism, he's consistently on the schedule. So he's at every single day. So even though I say I'm working with one, I have 1+1 because he's every single day. But it allowed me to see an increase though throughout the pandemic. So I definitely was not affected behind it. I actually was blessed.
Okay. All right. So here's a question that leads into something else. What are some of the biggest challenges you face being a Black man in business?
In business?
In business and in ministry.
In business, one of the biggest things is the competitive spirit and the competitive nature that is out there. Um, I'm the type of person, Dr. K, I've always been this way, and God continues to make me this way, and He continues to allow me to be content with being this way. Is that I don't compete to fight with others. Whatever it is that is going for you, or whatever is working for you, is good. But I have to trust that the way God built me up and what God wants me to do and how He wants me to do it is designed for D. Davis. Now, some ideas may be perfect. You may have to take a little from here and add a little salt to this and make it blend. But I'm not trying to be no one else. I'm not trying to make my stuff like no one else. If you doing this and it's working for you, good. Kudos, high five. I even share and support and like your stuff. But I have to be myself. I have to be who God made D. Davis to be. So that competitive nature is one of the biggest things that I find is so difficult because people, if you're not careful, people will try to force you to be someone else, or people that you think are supporting you are actually, uh, instead of being supporters, they're more like surveillance. Now the other parts, I guess I gave you part 1A, part 1B would be is having to always watch the people who are getting close to you. And that right there is sad, but it's so true that even in the business aspect, people that you think are trying to network with you or become cool with you, or y'all can share information, the whole time they got a back plan, a backstory, a secret agenda, things of that nature. So that makes it so
Yes.
difficult in this business aspect slash ministry. In ministry, uh, I grew up in a Pentecostal church. Okay, so in ministry is known and it's expected for it to always be, if you're preaching, then it has to be, and I know, see, but when you're not doing that, then it's considered you're not preaching. And the ministry style that I have, even though, as you see, I can do that. In the words of Noah John, I can do that anytime because we practiced it. I grew up in it. I knew about it. But now it's how effective is the ministry that I have. So the ministry that God gives to me necessarily does not have all the extra entertainment to it, but it has all of the extra substance to it that's going to make a person say, whoa, he has my attention. I'm hearing what God is saying to me. It's applying the word to you, that when you leave church, or you leave that Zoom, or you leave that live tent meeting, or whatever it is, you're going to remember the word on Monday and Tuesday as to forgetting it when you're at dinner at Olive Garden at 3 o'clock. So that's the two things that makes it so difficult, I guess, in ministry and in business.
And sometimes for us it's the same thing on the women's side. And I always tell people, you would think that we would get more flack from the men for us women in the ministry, but we get a lot more flack from the women when it comes to the business. So now we're fighting us and y'all. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like we have to, it's us and y'all. And so but the biggest thing is that competitive spirit that's out there, and people just don't understand that it should not be, because the kingdom is far and wide and vast, and there's enough room at the top for all entrepreneurs out there. And even though you may be doing the same thing that I'm doing, our audience is not the same. The way that I
Right.
do it may not be the way that you do it. And the way the spin I put on it may not be the spin that you put on it. But for whatever reason, that mentality is out there, and it hinders progress. It hinders
Yes.
progress, and people don't understand that. And here we go. We about to get off into the spiritual. And people don't understand that that is a tactic, and it's a strategic tactic of the enemy to keep us at odds so that we don't collaborate and come together and do something great within the kingdom, because he knows if we collaborate and we can ever figure this thing out, that we can move mountains. We really, really can.
Yes.
We can solve
Absolutely.
world hunger. We can come up with the cure for cancer. One
Absolutely.
of us got it. Okay, one of us has the cure. The problem is the other person that has the piece that goes with my piece don't want to collaborate and bring me the piece so we can put our pieces together and come up with the cure.
Absolutely. You're right.
because the problem is it's gonna come is okay. We're gonna do rock paper scissors so we can find out who name gonna go first on saying this is how the cure came up and not understanding both of our
Right.
names can go there. That's the
That's
problem.
true.
Who
Yeah,
name
that's
gonna
a
go
problem.
first?
That's a problem.
That's it, Christine. The crab in a barrel mentality. Not
Yeah, crab in the
understanding
barrel
that
mentality.
number one, we both crabs, and number two, we both in the barrel. Can we just figure out how we can get both of us out the barrel?
That is that part. Yeah,
It's like
it's that
we're
part.
both in this together, and let's figure out how to get us both out. And so nobody thinks about that, and it's just a repetitive, competitive cycle, and it just goes round and round. And so I want to talk to you about um, being an author, being an author,
Okay.
and you guys, he is one of the five authors for our for this series that God had dropped in my spirit for the his team. Like I said, he's part of the his team, and I have to shout out to our sponsors over there on Twitter, y'all. We always sponsored by the Twitter people. Be loving us, y'all. So hey, Twitter people, hello. And if you're watching us over on the Hers Life Coaching page, hello, thank y'all. And if you're watching us here right on Facebook, on my page, thank y'all. So we want to thank y'all. But his turn when enough was enough and not my will. And y'all, in the like I said, in the climactic third book to this series will be coming out this summer, and so everybody's resting right now, so I'm gonna give them a break. I ain't cracking the whip and making them push it out just yet, because we all in recovery mode. But with this first book, and when I first brought this to you guys, what did this do? What does this do for you personally as an author? I've heard some of the other authors was like, man, this thing just blew up, and we were not expecting it to. We really just wrote it because it was out of obedience. God just put it on my heart, and he said these are the ones. I threw it out there and said, who wants to do it? And you five guys said, I'm in, and it just took off. What did you think about that when it took off the way that it did?
You're absolutely right. I mean, when we say it took off, I mean, my God, it did barely even got on the runway before it was in the air. Uh, I mean, it literally took completely off. I would like to say that it was a blessing to me because it came at a season where I just had come through something so tremendous and a catastrophe in my individual personal life that I was able to put the expressions of that into the pages. And it just so happened to be perfect for the title. And it mixed in with the other authors. The thing about it that was so unique was this is that we didn't know each other. Me and the other authors, we had never met. We didn't know who each other was. We had never talked to each other. We wasn't even Facebook associates, nothing. So God used you to be the forerunner to pick together five men that was going to come together and make Black history. So this is Black History Month, so we might as well just say it. We are the first best-selling anthology authors to be on the bestsellers list. So we are Black history, you know. And so I take that as a pride of honor. I tell my sons, your father is Black history. What are you talking about? And
Yes,
so, yeah, we're Black history, we're best-selling
yes,
authors, and the book itself just went, I mean, it just took
gone.
off. And the testimonies was coming in about people saying, man, this life changing and all that kind of stuff. And the people that I wrote with in this particular book, their stories, each one of them had a piece that blessed me. And I've heard the same thing from them. So, and for it to be my first book, in collaboration with the others, and we did part two, we got part three coming up this summer. When we say, what did it do for me? It gave me a fresh wind. But before I could catch my breath, it knocked me out because this thing took off so fast. But it was a blessing. I mean, it was special. It definitely will go down in life as one of the best memories ever that I've individually had. So it was a blessing. It was a blessing.
And yes, y'all. And thank you for reminding us about Black History Month, because they were the first five Black men to collaborate in a book that went on the bestseller list. Five Black men have never come together before to write a book, which goes back to how if you would just set aside this competitive spirit and get together, you can do stuff like this. And so they did that. They made Black history. And it was so funny because I was looking at the photos today. And unfortunately, because you were going through a traumatic experience at the time, you weren't able to be with us. But I looked at those photos today and I was like, wow, they did that, you know. And then I said, wait, we did that. I had to put myself in there. Put myself in there. But God really did open up that door, and it changed lives. It changed all of our lives, actually, because again, I was never expecting God to put a man's ministry in my hands, number one. And I was like, what I'm going to do as a woman with a man's ministry? So there's history right there. And then here I am with these 12 men folk. And I was like, I'm going to need some help, Jesus. I don't know what I'm doing. And so all of you guys came together and helped me out. And so I'm grateful for that. And then God said, okay, now I need them to tell their story. I don't need them just sitting there. I need them to tell their stories. And when all of you guys got together, and then when the stories poured in, and I was like, well, how am I going to put this together? How's it supposed to come together? And he says, well, as they send them, that's how they go together. And when I started reading them and they all just fit like this, I was like, oh my God. I said, they're not going to believe this. And so when you guys saw it, and I said, y'all not going to believe this. I was like, the way y'all sent them in was exactly the way they fit together. And where one person left off, the other story began. And it was just so crazy. It was so crazy. But it was so like God. And then before I let them get too happy about it, okay, before I let them get too happy, and while that one was going off into the stratosphere, and I was like, well, before I let them come down, we got to do the next one, because it's a series, because that's what God said, it was going to be a series. And so they made history a second time, and they did a second one called Not My Will. And again, just like God, again, the stories just fit like a puzzle piece. And it's sort of like a continuation from where this one stopped, this one picked up. But there was something else going on that I'm going to talk about, and you had no idea I was going to bring this up. There was something else that was going on at the time of this, and a lot of people don't know that you had did a lead on a piece of music that's out there on Amazon. Can we talk about it, sir? So not only is he an author, but he's also a music composer as well, and he has a lead on an intro on a piece of music on Amazon.
Very true. Yes,
on Amazon Music. So put that plug in there so people can go get it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I was blessed to be able to do the introduction on a song called Find Me. It's written by the international recording artist T. Lyles. That's T.Lyles. He's an international recording artist. He is now doing the Christian positive music genre of music. And he comes to me and he says, hey, I would like for you to do the spoken word. Your voice is perfect. I want you to do the introduction on it, things like that. And I said, well, what are you looking for? I'm like, well, what do you want me to say? He was like, whatever it is God gives to you. He was like, your gift is so unique. I want you to be able to just flow with whatever it is that God gives to you. And so I say, okay. And then I sit down and God immediately just drops it into my mind. The song was called Find Me. And so I opened it up by saying, in this life, you're faced with many choices, but one thing that we must all choose is the peace that brings joy to our soul. For it is written that he that hungereth and thirsts after righteousness shall be filled. But God is saying, find me, find me. The song blew up. It blew up, went all the way to Spain, Israel. I mean, everywhere you can think of on the Movement Chapter 1. Actually, After that, we did the movement chapter 2, and he came back again and asked me to do another piece, and that was on the injustice that was going on at the time. Yeah, she said, I'm going to find that. Find it, find it, find it, find it.
It's
It's
out
on
there,
Amazon
Christine.
Music. It's
It's
on
out
any
there. I
music
listened to it.
platform.
It is a really, really nice song. The entire CD is nice. It really, really
The
is.
whole CD is nice. He's extremely gifted. His musical talents, like I said, have been around for a long time, but now he's doing the Christian genre base of music. But it's called Find Me by T Lyles. That's Tlyles. And it's called the Movement Chapter 1 as well as the Movement Chapter 2. Dr. K, can I back up real quick?
It's your
Let me back
interview,
up.
sir.
I want to say this about another thing with the book, with the books that we was able to do. I want to say this because it's so important, it's so vital that we was obedient, but we also not only just was we obedient, we didn't compete with one another, and we didn't try to play politics based on who each other was. It wasn't about, well, what's his name? What's his title? Is he a bishop? Is he a reverend? Is he the first sergeant? Is he the general? We had Pop McClure, who was a senior pastor and a retired vet. We had Reverend Art, who was still, active. I think he's a lead sergeant. Is that right?
Sergeant first class. Mm-hmm.
See, and then we had Pastor JJ, who's mega. He's all over TikTok and everything. He's mega. You talking about I'm the superstar. JJ is the superstar. We have Brother Tyrone Downs, Pastor Tyrone Downs, who was fully active. I think he's military as well, right?
Marine Corps. Mm-hmm.
Marine Corps. So see, and then you got D. Davis, a brother from Indianapolis.
Surrounded by all these military people.
Surrounded by nothing but a whole bunch of military folks. And I'm just a traveling evangelist that is just doing the work of God and holding down the peace of the kingdom. And none of us didn't try to compete with it. I want to say that because I know we're on live stream. I know we got different people. You got some people we know watching, and you got some people we don't know that's watching. Okay? Because people always creep in just so they can get little thoughts and ideas in. But we want to set that out there that when God sets something up, you don't have to play politics. You don't have to compete. We didn't know who each other were. We could have messed up making Black history, being successful as a best-selling author, because the book is not just on Amazon. The book is in Books A Million. It's on Walmart.com. So we could have messed up the success because, oh, well, what's his name? Oh, well, what's his pedigree? How much does he make per hour? How many followers does he got? What is this? Many times we shoot our own self in the foot and mess up our own blessings because we're trying to see what that person got, what's their name, who they got, how many followers they got, how many friends they got on Facebook, and all this other foolishness. But because we was not like that, because we decided to stay the course, come together, don't know each other, ain't never spoke to each other, we got on the phone and talked one time for 20 minutes, wrote something, God put it together and made it go number one, will go on the bestsellers list, and made success out of us that puts us in the record book for history. And I just wanted to back up and say that because that is something that everyone needs to know. If you're trying to do something and you want to do it and you want to be successful in it, get out the politics, get out your own way. Stop trying to be on all the extra stuff and just do what it is that you need to do.
You have some friends and family on here. I think there you go. Aaron Jackson. It's on here.
Oh yeah, my father.
Yes.
That's my father right there.
Your dad's
a
on
walking
here.
miracle. Listen, oh my God, walking miracle.
Thank you, sir, for being on and viewing. Thank you. But yes, just like he said, they had no idea. They didn't even know. They were all just a part of the HIS team, y'all, and HIS stands for healing, inspiring, and supporting. And it's a men's ministry that God had given me, which they are getting ready to celebrate, y'all. They getting ready to celebrate in July. They are getting ready to celebrate 6 years. It's technically 7 in July. And so they didn't even know one another outside of that ministry. They didn't even know. And so again, God just God just said, Karen, they need to do a book. They need to do a book, throw it out there. And so I said, well, I'm going to throw it out there, and whoever bites, that's who is supposed to be a part of this. Again, and I was like, God, here I am. First of all, you got me this woman out here with all these men folk already talking about, what's this woman doing with all these men folk? How's she trying to lead a man? Because the Bible, kooky, crazy stuff. And JJ, first and foremost, I have to put my brother out there, because he came on board and he was sort of like a protector for me, and he came on board with me. And then after JJ and my dad and then Elder Davis came on board, and I said, okay, I'm cool. And then Art and brother Tyrone, and then it just come on, and then my God dad, and then of course my overseer, and everybody just came on board. And so when these 5 guys, it was my dad, of course, which is Pastor Joe McClure, who came on board. Of course, he was ready. He been ready. He had his stories ready. He was ready. He been waiting for this, I think, all his life. Y'all hear me? I think he was waiting for a book all his life. And then Pastor JJ was like, I'm in. He's like, I'm in. And Elder Davis was like, I'm in. Reverend Art said, I'm in. Elder Tyrone said, I'm in. And then I got crickets. I didn't hear nothing else, because I was like, it's about to be 10 people. And then it got crickets. And I was like, well, I'm going to hold out a little while longer. And it just was crickets. And God said, that's it. Shut it down. That's it. It's 5. That's it. And I said, okay, well, we're going to go with that. We're going to go with that. And like we said, they didn't know each other. And God says, okay, now I need you to take them from this group, and I need you to create this book writing group for them and put them in there and give them these instructions. And I gave them those instructions, and they got introduced to one another on a more intimate level. And that's how, and we did the inbox messages and stuff, and that's how they first saw each other. And from there, they was talking, and you would have thought that they've known each other forever. And I was so relieved. And I said, okay, God, that's it. You knew what you was doing this whole time, God. Those are the ones. That's just it. And so once they started working together, I was like, well, I don't even need to be up in here with y'all. Y'all got it, you know? And like he said, there was no competition. There was no competition. And all of them were great in their own lanes. All of them were great in their own entire lanes. Nobody knew, except for me, because I knew each one of them individually. And I would make little jokes and stuff. And I would be like, well, we're not going to catch up, with Elder Davis, because he probably, up somewhere with the Lakers somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And so we would laugh, and we call him like celebrity, because he always was with the Lakers, and we was like serious, it's like, y'all, we serious. There he is, somewhere with one of the Lakers. And so everybody else was in their perspective lanes with other renowned people. And so they all knew people of stature out there. And so, and they weren't competing with one another. They didn't say, oh, well, I knew such and such, and I knew such and such, so I was bigger. And it was nothing like that. Everybody respected one another for who they were. And so that was the biggest thing about all this. And you could see God just moving and putting this thing together. And so when that first book came together and they made history, we did that book signing, and unfortunately you couldn't be with us, and you were there in spirit. We cried. We all cried sitting in that interview, because we were like, we just made history here in January. And I'll never forget, it was January 21st. January 21st. And I was like, we made history here. And I cried because I was like, I want people to see that Black men can get together, and Black men can do other stuff besides go to jail. Black men can do other stuff besides be strung out on drugs. That Black men are worth something. Black men are still doing things worthwhile. Black men are worth something. And, and they're not statistics. And so that's what they did. They defied odds, and they made history, not just history, but Black history.
right. That's
And
right.
then, like I said, and then they came along and did it again. But this one, like I said, was in the midst. He was out there hitting the charts, the music charts out there on Amazon. On the music charts, and everybody and all the rest of them was out there, Art and Tyrone was out there trying to be generals and stuff. Me Too was out there, getting promoted. All of us were doing the military stuff, and JJ, he done blew up all over every platform out there. He done took over everything. And my dad, he over there elevating in the ministry. So God really did take everybody up because of obedience. It was obedience, y'all. We still on coach to coach, but when God is in the midst of this, because God is the foundation of everything that I do, so God will always have space for what we're doing. And so with that being said, talk about this brand. Talk about this brand. Brag on God. And yes, I made sure that I had my brag on God shirt. Now, y'all know my arm is hurt, so I may have to have Sister Quata. She is on here tonight. I may have to have her come over here and cut me out of this shirt, but I got me in it. But talk about the brand and how it got started. Because this is how I first met you, was on Instagram when I saw this brand.
Right. Well, brag on God is a personal brand. When people ask you what does brag on God mean, you tell them your testimony. So this here is a prompting. It prompts and makes people say, "Man, what's that?" And so it's catchy. It makes people say, "Man, what is that? What does that mean?" And that's your opportunity. It promotes you to tell your testimony. So it's intentional, that is going to catch people's attention. It's in bold print. It's there. People can't ignore it. They're going to say, and you're gonna have them in a moment to tell your testimony. Outside of that, with the actual brand itself, the way it started was my oldest daughter. Then a quick story. I'm gonna put it in 30 seconds because this thing could be an hour and a half just for her testimony. So, in the birth part of the surgery, her mother had a C-section, and when she had the C-section, the doctors mismeasured the C-section and they cut too deep and they went into a main artery inside of her shoulder blade, because of their misdiagnosis of cutting. So immediately inside the hospital, they come into the room. We haven't even got a chance to even see the baby or hold the baby yet directly, like boom, like in the arms. Knew the name, but hadn't even get a chance to pronounce the name yet. They come in and they say, we made a medical mistake. We cut too deep in the surgery. And because of this, we're not sure the effects that may happen, but it's a high chance that her fine motor skills will be affected forever, which means she could have problems with her flexibility and her growth and things of that nature. And we're like, what do you mean? Things such as she might not never walk. And it's like, I didn't even held the baby yet, and you're already telling me that she may never walk. So speeding along, go through the legal stuff and all this kind of things like that. Because now they're promoting, we just pay you for the rest of her life kind of thing. And it's like, no, I want my daughter to be healed. I want her to be okay. And so going on throughout time, she gets about 2 years old. She's not even trying to crawl. She's not even trying. She's 2 years old. She don't even want to crawl. She's just a chubby little baby that just want to be picked up and carried around. Her legs and stuff like that wasn't really giving her the strength and things of that nature. We're going to doctor's appointments back to back and all this kind of stuff. We're getting Botox shots. So from the age of 2.5, she's getting enough Botox that they would give to you and me as full grown adults. And the Botox aren't doing anything except for making the tissues stay strong. It's not making her get up and do anything. And so one night on a Monday night, a preacher that didn't have no famous name, wasn't very popular or anything else like that, none of that stuff, said, man, God told me to pray for your daughter tonight. Prayed, touched and agreed. A few weeks later, I'm speeding along. A few weeks later, they say there's a surgery that's going to help her be able to continue to grow. They still, by this time, she's pulling up, she's moving with the little scooter, she got braces on, all this kind of stuff like that. She's taking little steps, but she's falling all the time, all this stuff. She's like 5, 6 years old, can't even walk a whole, 10 steps without falling 2 times. Uh, Braces, I mean, these braces are out of the world expensive. They got Dora the Explorer and all this other junk on it and stuff. They're real cute. But when you get done with it, she's growing and she's not walking.
Right.
And They say they want to do a surgery. And so when they do the surgery, they say that, they're going to stretch her Achilles tendons out so that way she can continue to grow. And it was like, man, what? And so they say the surgery is going to be an hour and a half long. So we pray, we consent, we go ahead and we go into surgery. I'm sitting there and I have the buzzer. I'm the only one there because her mom had left at that time. She said, I'm already dancing. Don't start. And so I'm sitting there by myself at that moment because the mother already left and went to drop the other kid off. I'm sitting there and the doctor said it's going to be an hour and a half. 32 minutes into the surgery, the buzzer goes off. I'm nervous. Why is this going off? It must be malfunction. I go to the desk. I tell the nurse, and the nurse says, well, Mr. Davis, the doctor called and said they want you to come back. And I'm like, come back for what? She's like, I'm not sure. Like, well, it's an hour early. So what do you mean? Doctor, I go to the room. The doctor comes in with the other nurses. He drops his mask down. He breathes in and out. My heart drops. Every bad thought you can think of hits my head, And he says, out of all the years I've been doing this surgery and specializing in this, I've never seen anything like this before. And I'm thinking, man, doc, I'm about to cry, scream, tear this wall up, everything else. What did you do to my daughter? You already messed up once. Now you got me. And at that moment, he says, when we cut her Achilles tendons open, now this is about to make you cry and shout at the same time. When they cut the Achilles tendon open, they seen the muscles begin to move in place on their own. And so they stood back in their profession with their medical degrees, stood back and watched God stretch her muscles out in front of them. And he said the only thing that we done was sew her back up and decided to let the man upstairs finish doing what he's doing.
Come
And
on, Jesus.
and when they said that, I mean, I'm blew away. I'm speechless. I don't know if I want to run, cry, speak in tongues, scream, whatever the case is, all this. At this moment, I'm calling, trying to let the mother know, calling my mom, trying to call my father, all this stuff like that. Emotions are going high, boom, speeding along. Then we can move to the next thing. Uh, when I'm sitting there afterwards, I say, man, God, I'm telling everybody about this. I'm telling everybody about this, God. And I hear God say, yes, brag on me. I'm like, man, I'm telling everybody about this. I'm telling everybody. And that's what I'm saying to myself. I'm telling everybody about this. And in my spirit again, I hear God say, yes, brag on me. Now I'm telling everybody about this. Telling everybody. He drops in my mind Psalms 105, verse 1 in the King James and Message version, where it says, tell everyone you meet what I've done. Make it big. And so I'm like, what? Like, okay, God, I'm gonna brag on you. And then it was like, brag on God. And it hit me. Brag on God. And then it just exploded. It was like God was like, you got it. Boom. And so that's where the birthing of Brag on God came from, was from that situation. And then went on. And then she became a praise dancer. 2 years later, the baby became a praise dancer. The baby they said would never walk was up there praise dancing and everything else. So I'm not going to cry on live. So let's move on to the next thing.
But it's remember what you said at the beginning. It's okay. It's okay to cry.
I know. It is, because brag on God. So that's where it comes from. Brag on God. And it promotes. Now, we do many other things with brag on God. We pay bills. We pay for people's lunches, dinners. We do stuff in the community. We go into stores at random, meet people at the cash register. Ma'am, can we pay for your food today? Sir, can we pay for your groceries today? We buy shoes for the youth, book bags. We give back to the community. We do things at random. And I never know who it is that I'm going to be a blessing to. And so I always say to people, when you're sowing into brag on God, you're sowing into random blessings, because I don't know who I'm going to bless. I have no clue who God's going to send my way, in my direction, and how he's going to do it. But I know he's going to do it, and he does it on a consistent basis. And when they ask, man, well, what's your name? No, brag on God. And now that's what got brag on God promoted so far out into London and these places is, man, who did that? Brag on God. And it's giving God back the glory. It's not about D. Davis. I'm going to get mine from God. As long as I do his work, he's going to take care of me. So it's about him. So that's what the whole brag on God thing is about. It's about pushing back all of the credit and all the glory back to God.
Amen. Amen. And something we need a usher and a deacon to go catch Christine because she's having a Baptist apostolic fit. She said. Amen. Amen. And for y'all
Praise
who
him.
don't know, I was a brag on God model for what? For 1 week. I think it was for
Yeah.
1 week. I was a brag on God model for one
On
week, y'all.
two occasions. On two
On two
occasions.
occasions. On two occasions, I was a brag on God model.
Thank you.
So my dream of being a model was you can go over on brag on God on Instagram. I'm over there,
That's
y'all.
right. And we know
I'm
all
over
things
there.
work
So
together for the good.
for the good, for the good. I really was. So it is. So we have to go catch Christine. Aaron Jackson. He was too. His dad was too. He said he was. He said he was a model too. Okay, y'all. But he does have the shirts are really nice. They really nice. They're fit. He also has the bracelets. Y'all saw my bracelet that I had on today. The wristbands. I had on the wristbands. He has those. So with the brag on God, what else are you working on that we need to get our hands on?
As far as getting your hands on, I am working on two things right now. We're getting ready to launch out new product coming up, and I didn't even set it until tonight. I waited till tonight to even set it even on Instagram. That is going to be March the 30th of this year. We're going to launch a whole bunch of new product out. So we're going to have more shirts, hoodies, things of that nature that we're going to be putting out. I waited till tonight to put that information on the media when we was already live. So pre-orders can be done already in advance because you know these things go so quick. It's hard to keep up. But one other thing that I'm working on that people are going to get their hands on real quick is a new shirt that we're going to have, which says, "Flawed and all, I'm still on God's VIP list. Brag on
Oh,
God." Yeah, flawed and all. Flawed and all,
when
I'm
is that one going to
still
come out? So
on.
because I know everybody on here about ready to order one of them.
That one is going to be in mid-April.
Okay, y'all. Hey,
Mid-April.
look, Christine already running over the brag on.
Mid-April, we're working on getting that. But you're gonna want
Y'all
to get
hit
your hands
all of
on that
his
fast.
information. Y'all don't blow up my inbox. Okay, do not blow up my inbox. All of his information. Look, Sister Quada, y'all, there she go. And she will buy everything. That is my creative director. She will buy everything. All right. But y'all, all of his information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So you can come back and revisit this live, all of his information. And he did not ask for this, y'all. But if God does put it on your heart, he already told you what Brag on God does. His Cash App is up there as well. And when the shirts and everything starts rolling out, y'all know I'm gonna get one first before anybody get one. I'm getting one. So I will be posting up because y'all know that's what I do. I post up people's brands because that's what this platform is for, to help further the kingdom and help those within the kingdom. And so once I get the info, y'all will get the info with the pricing and how to get in contact with him in order to get your shirts and all that good stuff. So look, already, look, you done sold a hoodie. Boom. You done sold a hoodie. You done sold a shirt too, because Maria will buy everything too. Okay. So we thank you, sir, for taking time out of your life. And y'all, and we do call him Mr. Brag on God. That's what we just call him over on his team. We call him Mr. Brag on God. What she say? She said her card is ready. Maria will swipe her card in a second. Okay, y'all. She'll swipe her card in a second. She ready tonight with her card. She will give you her card number. But we thank you for coming over. Is there anything that you want to say to the people? But I do want to thank your friends and family, and we want to thank your father for being on tonight. And we just want him to know how much we appreciate him for gracing the line with his presence. But we want you to give some last words to the people out there before we sign off.
Absolutely. And Dr. K, I want to thank you again for all that you do. I want to say three things. For the coach to coach, let me say this because this probably has never been said before on your coach to coach platforms out of all your interviews. Probably no one has ever said this. And that is, I want to encourage the ones that have went through the professional life coaching with hers, uh, in particular, that the information you give is very vital and it's very good and it's real. Let me be the first one to say that for the first year, I did zero after getting my stuff. I didn't do nothing. I ain't gonna front and make it seem like I did something. I got it, had all the information, got through with it, was good set up. You gave me all the details, gave me the think 90 days for assistance if I needed something, all that stuff. I didn't say nothing. I didn't reach out. I didn't do nothing. So I don't want to make it seem like I just hit the floor running. No, I sat there and was dormant and didn't do anything, and that's a waste. So I want to encourage the people that have went through the program, those that's going to follow the live, those that are thinking about going through the program, that the information they get from this professional life coaching, use it, take advantage of it, because it's the best that's out there. And especially when you got people out here that don't really care about folks and they just doing it because they just want an extra dollar, and they're giving you information that really ain't going to be used. But then in this life coaching platform, when I got the certification and I really applied it and started looking at the aspects of everything that I gained, it allowed me to see, man, I'm really set up for success. With the information I had, with God's vision, I'm set up for success. And so I just want to encourage the people to take advantage of that, take advantage of the information, take advantage of the help that you also offer to them to keep them going. Take advantage of that. Second thing is I just want to encourage the people to keep going. All of us are dealing with something. All of us are going through different things. All of us are facing different battles, trials, life situations, etc. But just keep going. Keep trusting God, that God will never leave you nor forsake you. He promised that he'd be with us always, and we have to take God at his word. No matter what goes on in the world, no matter what the government pushes out, no matter what you see on social media, we have to trust God. The third thing is yes, the brag on God. I want your support because we're constantly doing stuff for the people. We are always trying to be a blessing to different ones. But when people ask you, what does brag on God mean? Tell them your testimony. Tell them your testimony. Tell me your testimony. So thank you, Dr. K, for having me tonight. Thank you to all the viewers that are going to watch this in the replay for the time to come and everything like that. It was a blessing. I really, really, really appreciate it. That's encouraged me a great deal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to you again, God bless you. Thank you so much for all your support and everything that you do as well.
Okay, thank you. Sit tight. And thank you to everybody that's watching us, to our supporters that are out there over on the Hers Life Coaching page. Y'all follow us on Hers Life Coaching right here on Facebook. And you can follow us on Instagram. And you can follow me over on YouTube. You can follow me on Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, everywhere you find my name. And you can also follow Brag on God all over the world as well. And to my sponsors and those who are over on Twitter, thank you as always. I love you guys. Thank you, Maria, who is one of our life coaches as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She said thank you for the encouragement. And so yes, y'all, take advantage when God offers you something and he sets you up. Take advantage of that. It don't come every day, and I'm not just talking about just from me, but from whatever it is that God has set before you. Take advantage of the help. Take advantage of the provision. All right, because He never gives you vision without provision. All right, y'all. So we thank y'all for joining us tonight for this Coach to Coach. Listen, I have no idea who the next Coach to Coach interviewee is going to be. I do. But you're gonna love it. Okay, y'all, you're gonna love it. And so I thank you guys for joining me tonight. I thank you guys for supporting this platform and always supporting this platform, y'all. And so it's been great. So we're gonna go out like we came in. So thank y'all, and I will see y'all again, same time, same line in March. Okay, y'all, for our next Coach to Coach. It has been great. See y'all later.